darkness, I found my light. With Jesus by my side, I conquer every fight. Walking in faith, I won't be afraid. His love surrounds me, my fears will fade. Hope is my anchor, love is my guide. With Jesus I'll overcome, I'll never hide. A warrior of strength, in His name I rise. In a world of chaos, His love never dies.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, owner of GodlyGranny.com, and podcast host, sharing the truth with you. This is The Michelle Moore Show.
Hello, everyone. So glad that you're with us today. It's Monday, August the 24th. Lieutenant Mark Taylor is with us today. We're excited to have him here talking about some of the latest things that are going on and discussing really, kind of unpacking and trying to see what all we can ascertain from the things that are happening. Obviously, there were the primaries last week in Florida. We're going to talk with him about how that went, which was, and that's its own thing. And then also some other things that are going on. I want to remind you that we did some Godly Granny new releases, like 36 of them on Friday. So if you missed that, you got it. It's a must see. We covered so much education and information. It was great. It was great. Eve was with us. We did all that. And all the new releases, it's got 5% off until tomorrow night, which would be Tuesday, August the 25th at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. So get your Godly Granny goodies before the sale is over. Very excited. We got some great tinctures and creams to help you get your vitamins and your minerals that are needed. We've been helping people all weekend with having questions, and it's just, all I gotta say is it's God's work. It's just crazy. The things that we weren't taught or the things that we were taught that wasn't right. And so it's just amazing. Okay, so tomorrow we'll cover some reviews. We've been having people asking about reviews and stuff, and so we'll cover reviews and stuff. Little flash more, had to see the vet. He got hurt about 10 days ago. So the vet came to the house, and, this was a new vet. And I gotta say, the first thing she said was something about how good looking he was and muscular and healthy. His teeth are great. And so I was so happy to hear that. But he was chasing his arch nemesis, which is the little girl Daisy next door. And when he came back home, he chased her home. She was in our yard. And when he came back home, he was limping. He's been favoring a leg. And so we had to have somebody look at it. So anyways, but I loved it. The new vet, she didn't say a thing about giving any shots to Flashmore because I was prepared. It was just not going to happen. And so anyways, but she was great. And so I'm hopeful that maybe there are some good ones out there here and there. So it was good. It was a good experience, which I was pleasantly surprised. All right. So let's go on ahead and bring Mark in. Let's get started. We've got a lot to cover today as normal. I mean, there's a little bit going on, Mark, just a little.
Just a little bit. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. All right, Mark. So let's talk about the stuff that happened with the elections and everything, the primaries. I know you got plenty to share.
Yeah, so the primaries is this. Wayne Allen Root, who I've always liked Wayne. I was on his show a couple of times back in the day, his radio show. I wish he was one of Trump's advisors, to be honest with you, because he's got a lot of good ideas. He really does. And so one of the ideas was declaring this national security emergency over the elections, which Trump has not done yet. Okay, so we went into this primary. And everybody's got to understand that, as far as I'm concerned, these primaries are null and void because cheating's already been found in Florida. It's probably been found in other states. I haven't been keeping up too much with other states. I know here in Florida it's already been found. And so that null and voids the election to me. Why are we voting in the primaries on the same system that we voted on in 2020 that Trump's crying foul on? Right? We all know that Trump got cheated in 2020. Nobody denies that. Okay. The election was stolen, like it's been stolen for decades and decades. We have not been having an electoral process. We've been having a selectoral process where they are selected for us. Kind of sort of like Byron Donalds or some of these other people like Randy Fine here in Florida, where they caught the votes in real time from the guy that was running against him. Not that I supported that guy, but the point is they were catching it in real time. The votes were disappearing from his competitor. Now, Michelle, come on. This is not right. I mean, you're voting on the same system in the primaries. Now we're going to go into the general, having to be forced to vote on fraudulent people that aren't even supposed to be in the general at this point. So to me, the election is already done. Now,
unless something happens before then,
unless something happens before then. So, right, does Trump come in? This is the $9 million question here. Does Trump come in and say, hey, I'm going to declare a national security emergency for the general election. We're going to have paper ballots. The military is going to do the election. Well, if that's the case, that's fine and dandy, but nothing's been fixed, because the fact of the matter is, again, we're having to be forced to vote for people that are fraudulently in the general election that won the primary that didn't really win it. If he comes out and drops a national security emergency and says, hey, the primaries are null and void, we're going to have a whole new election, bingo. Now we're on to something here. That truly fixes things. So I'm not so sure he's going to do that from the sounds of things, because why would you endorse a bunch of these people to begin with, like Susie Wiles has done with Byron Donalds and the Senate, and allow these people to get away with this? Because it's all about the data centers right now. It's all about the land grab. And Byron has promised to come in here to put 5 to 7 data centers in Florida. He wants to bring in 7 million people into Florida, which we cannot handle any more people. Our infrastructure cannot handle it. We don't have enough water for all of this. He has even acknowledged that. We got to figure out a way to get water in here. And so there's a lot going on, guys. There's a lot. This is a massive land grab of epic proportions all across the country for these data centers. Nobody wants these data centers. Trump wants it because he wants to beat China in the AI data race. But here's the part that I don't understand with the whole data center thing, because this ties into the electoral process, guys, because this is why Trump is putting people in certain places like Byron Donalds, so that he can control the data centers. Is because Elon Musk came out here not too long ago and said, we can put the data centers in space. So why are we fighting about putting them here on the ground? Because the damage is already going to be done. You're talking about ranchers, you're talking about farmland owners who are getting their wanting data centers on their property. They don't want it. But this is a massive land grab, which is why I believe the Republicans have cheated on this election. Yes, I'm calling it out. I don't care. The Republicans are no different than the Democrats when it comes to this one. They want something. They're going to get it because they've already put their people in place.
Well, I don't believe that there's a Republican and a Democrat side. So they're all working together personally.
Correct.
So that's just me personally. Let's talk about Randy Fine. So he's another fine Florida politician of yours. I love that you're in Florida, Mark. Yep. I get to pick on you. All right. So let's see this video. So Randy Fine, what was he running for? Or what is he running for?
I think he's one of the Senate seats, I believe.
Okay. So let's take a look. This guy is running for office. Let's take a look what he does. That's not his mailbox, y'all.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is that not a federal offense?
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Why isn't he in prison? What's going on there?
Well, I mean, again, I think Corey Mills is under federal investigation. He was kicked out of the race. He's best friends with Byron Donalds. So I mean, none of this makes sense. Why would Trump endorse a New York street thug who was busted for drug dealing, who is busted for bank fraud, Trump prides himself on his work ethic, and I give him that. Okay, he has a great work ethic. He's got a ton of energy at his age, right? This guy's lazy as crap. He's missed 150 votes. He missed the vote on one of the major hurricanes we got hit with here. He was nowhere to be found. I mean, so why would you pick a lazy, drug dealing scum? The only reason why you would do this is because you have something on them and you can control them. And this is exactly why Susie Wiles has picked him, because, again, True Leave, not just big data, big weed. I call him Big Weed Byron. So Big Weed Byron, all right, is there for Susie Wiles for True Leave.
Big weed.
Big weed, man.
That one. A big weed Byron. First of all, have you ever been a drug dealer? You're
Nope.
calling him lazy, and it may be very hard to work the streets. Okay.
Huh? Well,
All
no,
right.
see, no, people like him have people working for him.
Okay. I see. I see. All right. Let's take a look at this image that shows about Byron Donalds. He's okay. This is very concerning. So, speculation mounting that Byron Donalds is to choose Meg Weinberger as running mate per Florida politics. Weinberger, y'all brace yourselves, donated to Democrat Andrew Gillum when he ran against Ron DeSantis. Now, do y'all remember he was the guy that then ended up being found in a hotel? I think it was pretty much right
Yep.
after the election.
Yep.
And he was a black gentleman that had run against DeSantis. He ends up being found pretty much coked out or whatever drug that he was on, and was, I think, pretty much naked and on the floor and unresponsive. That ended up almost being the governor. It was a pretty close race, if memory serves me right.
Yeah.
So this guy, Byron Donalds, is looking to choose somebody who donated to that man's campaign. Okay.
You
Don't
can't
know
make
if y'all
this up.
remember that.
You can't make this up.
And not, yeah. So just so that everybody understands, and I'm questioning what is this meaning about a running mate. So Byron Donalds is running for governor, and so we're thinking maybe it's like a lieutenant governor position
yeah.
or something. Yeah. And so, because I'm like, well, is it like a vice president and a president running together? I don't know what's going on. So our site 62 says Trump is really pushing the data centers, saying that it's more revenue and jobs. That's all he sees. Well, first of all, what's coming out is that there aren't a lot of jobs from it, and there's not a lot of revenue. In fact, there is a ton of tax benefits for these is what's normally happening for these data centers. Deborah West says there's no water to cool the data centers in space. The problem, though, Deborah, is it's coming out that they don't need water. I've been seeing and hearing that that's a big fat lie, that they don't need the water. And so I don't know what the truth is. I don't, who knows? But now this is coming out in the last week that that's a whole lie, and that it's really going below, and who knows what it's really going to. R.L. Wood says Trump is forcing a nuclear waste storage and a smelter and all of the data centers here on Oklahoma farmland and Oklahoma's hay belt. We were already fighting the data centers, so now there's more. Wow, RL, that's a lot.
This is a land grab, guys. This is a land grab for some unknown reason. And I'm going to tie all this together as we go along, all right? So just stay with us.
Okay, so the next thing is let's talk about talking about Byron Donalds. So let's look at this image you wanted everybody to see.
Yeah. All right. So Don Jr., I've been calling this out for a while. Look at the symbolism in the background, guys. This is not good. Okay. I mean, again, I love the Trump family, but this is the kind of stuff, stupid stuff right here. Because again, you have to project publicly what's going on behind the scenes. It's telling you who these two are and who's behind them, unfortunately. And so it doesn't surprise me, especially being part of the Reawaken tour for all that time. So, I mean, again, this is not a good look at all for the Trumps.
Okay, so
not a good
let's
look.
hold on a second. It wasn't Don Jr., it was Eric that was part of the Reawaken, but with the Don Jr.
Don Jr. was there. He was there as well.
Okay,
He's been there. Yeah, he was there.
Okay, where my concern is with Don Jr. and what's going on, I'm just like, in what kind of bozo world is it okay that he married the daughter to the banker of Epstein? I just can't.
God's gonna tie all this together. Okay, when we're done going through some of this stuff, I'm gonna tie all this spiritually together, like I did last week. But God's gonna go even deeper this time, and I think people are gonna get a massive revelation out of this. All right, so just hang in there.
All right, the next one is let's watch. So you've got a video here of Trump talking about the gay vote. Let's take a look.
Yep.
And then
they gave us men playing in women's sports. Doesn't work. My wife hates when I do that. She says it's so unpresidential, darling. I said, I won in a landslide. No, she said she doesn't like when I do the swimming routine or the weightlifting routine. I said, darling, I won in a landslide. It's okay. And she hates when I dance to the gay national anthem. That's what it is. It's called the gay national anthem. You know, I got the highest gay vote in the history of politics for a Republican. And I played the gay national anthem. So, what can I tell you? I'll take it. We're going to take it. We got the highest of everything.
Do people understand the severity of what he just did right there? I brought this up last week about Melania, how she supported LGBTQ 30 days before the election, and she came out again after the Supreme Court ruling about a month and a half ago, and she doubled down on it, saying that she didn't want people or transgenders in female sports, but they supported LGBTQ. You just heard what he said right there. He's backing his wife's play is what he's doing. And I said last week that because Trump has been silent on this issue, he's in fact for the homosexual movement. Well, you just heard it for yourself right there out of his own mouth. He is supporting exactly what his wife did, guys. You cannot support the homosexual agenda and call yourself a man or woman of God. You cannot support the homosexual agenda and say, I'm fighting on the side of good versus evil here, when you are literally empowering evil. God sees that homosexual agenda as evil. This is why he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah to begin with, spiritually. They have empowered the homosexual spirit, and the same spirit, here's the problem, they're trying to separate the transgender and the homosexual spirit, and you can't do it. It's one of the same. It's the same spirit of perversion that runs through the homosexual community, the transgender community, and the pedo community is the same thing. I thought we were supposed to be protecting our kids, guys. This is the problem, is that now he has empowered this. It will explode across the earth because of him and what his wife have done. They have rebelled against the Most High God and his biblical principles. They are rebelling against God. I want people to understand how dangerous this is. This is literal rebellion.
When was this recorded? When did he say
that?
That?
This last thing he just did a couple of days ago.
Okay,
now,
that's what I thought. But
here's what's happening. And here's what makes me angry with this whole MAGA movement thing. I am not MAGA. I can tell you that right now. Matter of fact, I'm not even a Republican hardly anymore at this point. They want to call themselves Republican. They want to call themselves MAGA, but yet you push a sinful, one of the most sinful things that God says he will not tolerate, was homosexuality. What they are doing, the Trump family is doing, which is why I'm going to stay with me. This is not an attack on them. I'm simply calling it out, what God is saying to call out, is that they are taking a far-right patriotic movement that used to be hardcore right in principles, anti-LGBTQ, anti-abortion. Now what they're doing is they have taken it and they have moved it left. There's no such thing if you're MAGA. Now, after what he and his wife have done, there's no such thing as hard right any longer. You are now a Democrat, because these are Democrats, guys. They're not Republicans. Let's call it what it is. This is a Democrat point of view right here, supporting homosexuality and abortion, which is what he has done, like in Arizona. I've brought up many times on this show. This is a far left agenda, guys. I hate to tell you this. People are going to have to repent for this.
Okay,
and if you didn't just hear that, that was lightning that just struck.
All right, so this is the way I see it, okay? I don't see it, the Republican thing. You're saying this is a Democrat thing, this is a Democrat thing. No, it's an evil thing. You're either
No, I'm saying they're moving the Republicans to the Democrat side, is what I'm saying.
But the Democrat side, the supposed Democrat side is just evil.
Right.
And so it's good versus
They're both evil.
There's no such thing as Republican and Democrat. And that's part of the insanity. And Trump has been doing that too, where he keeps on about Republican.
Right.
But it's kind of like he plays both sides of the fence on that, I feel like, here lately, where remember last week when you said that he said that, people aren't mad at me, they're just mad at the Republican Party.
Right.
And so there's times where he says things where he's part of the Republican Party, and then there's times that he distances himself from that.
Right.
And so, but the fact of the matter is, it goes back to Kathy O'Brien's book. I am telling you all, if we're still talking about Democrats and Republicans, you're missing the point. You're missing it. And that is that it's either good or evil. It's either righteous or it's not. And that's exactly what your point is.
Right.
And so you can't say that you are a Christ believing, Christ following, not even Christ believer, because even Lucifer believed. But you cannot call yourself a Christ follower and then sit there and say women's choice, and be
Right.
okay that abortion is happening on the day before the baby would have been born, or 10 minutes before. At this point, it's legal. And by the way, okay, I have a question for you about that. This morning I got to thinking about it, Mark. So remember, we've had Roe versus Wade overturned. But what
Hmm.
good is it? Is it because of states' rights where they're still able to pass all these laws where babies can be aborted at the last minute?
Right. So again, he was supposed to throw it back to the states. That's what he just said from time and time again until he stepped in Arizona with Kerry Lake, like we talked about before.
Yes.
They had it
Yes.
illegal until he stepped in the same day Kerry Lake did, said to overturn it. Now it's up to 15 weeks. So that blood's on their hands. They're the ones that are going to have to answer to this.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
so
that's a major problem.
that's a major problem, guys. Again, they're taking Republicans and a Republican mindset and moving it to a Democrat mindset is what they're doing. Now what you have is you have a Democrat Party and you have the Communist Party. There's no more such thing as Republicans anymore. I don't believe that anymore. Not with what they're doing now.
Okay. So I want to show this image. It's religious growth in the United States. So it's from 2000 to 2025.
Yep.
So Hinduism has grown 230%. Islam 200%. Buddhism 50%. Judaism 5%. Christianity is 10% in the hole. We're in the red. And this is in 25 years. So just because Christianity is down 10%, you have to look too that in some of these instances, you're really a spread of 240% with Hinduism, correct?
Right. Right.
So essentially, Mark, when you look at this and what do you think? This is under Trump too. It's not just Trump because we've had other presidents as well.
Right.
Obviously.
Well, but see, here again, they want to say, well, trust the plan, trust the plan. Well, here's the plan, guys. Unfortunately, this is what the plan has helped usher in. Look, I'm all for a plan. I'm all for Q. Don't get me wrong. But if part of the Q plan is to usher in homosexuality and is to allow everything you're seeing on the screen right now, count me out. That's not a plan. Look, at what part do people start? You even yourself said, the Holy Spirit spoke to you that day and said, but is it God, right? So pushing homosexuality from the national pulpit, lighting a candle to a foreign god in the Oval Office, are all of these things of God. Is God going to be in all of this? No, he's not in the mixture. He's a righteous God. He's not just a righteous God. He's a holy God. There's no
That's right.
darkness in him. So you can't sit here. Look, and I'm going to address something. Somebody just made a comment in here. I'm going to address something. This is part of the problem. Is people want to make an excuse. Well, I didn't ask for a preacher to be in the White House. I didn't ask for that either. I asked for a president. I asked for a righteous president is all I asked for. I didn't ask for a preacher. But the point is, you can't sit here and differentiate the two. You can't sit here and say, okay, president, and could not call it out. Because if you don't call it out as a man or woman of God, you are part of the problem. This is what God's addressing today. This is what God's saying. Because again, Trump sees with his eyes, he's a numbers guy. And unless he sees people getting angry with him, saying, hey, I don't support the homosexual agenda. Why are you promoting this from the stage like this? This is not a Republican talking point. This is a Democrat talking point. That's my point. That's what God's trying to say right now. It is up to us to hold this president accountable because he claims to be a Christian. He claims to be a man of God. And if that's the case, then you have to walk like it. You have to act like it. You have to be more and more like Jesus, which is what God's calling us to do. Now, look, I get it. He's a wartime president. There's a lot of things going on we don't know about. I want a tough guy in there. That's what I want. But I want a righteous, tough guy. One who at least will adhere to the 10 Commandments or at least to biblical standards. That's all we're asking. Not for a preacher, not for a pastor or an evangelist, but think about this for a minute. Just think if you just had how those numbers on that screen would change if Trump stood there and started promoting the Lord Jesus from the Oval Office. How fast would those numbers flip?
What keeps coming to mind, Mark, is as the head goes, so does the body.
Thank you.
So to say, well, I asked for a president. I didn't ask for a pastor that's my president. Well, no, you don't need a pastor, but you could have a Christ-following president
Thank you.
who sets the example. And so, and certainly doesn't go against. So, that's the other thing. There are a lot of things that we're pointing out right now where he's actually going against
He's
what we stand
rebelling.
for.
He's
Yeah.
rebelling against God, and you're teaching the American people to do that. What else is he also doing? He's also, him and the First Lady, they are building the tolerance level of the American people of sin to be okay. It's getting
Yes.
higher and higher and higher. Every time he mentions that from the pulpit, every time she mentions that in her book or on stage, whatever it is, the tolerance level of the people are going, oh, it's just not a big deal. I go to a restaurant, I see two guys kissing and holding hands, no big deal. That's the tolerance level. It's
What's
being
the frog?
raised. It's the
It's the
frog in
frog
the
in the pot.
skillet.
In the pot.
So
And so what, and for those that don't understand, so it's about how you slowly turn up. It's you get used to it. It's not so appalling. It's not so horrible. This goes back, and I got to tell you, it goes back to the Ellen DeGeneres and Anne Heche kiss on during, or whoever she was kissing on her show, and that Ellen did, back years ago, in a time that wasn't even thought of as possible. And now look at it, it's nothing. Every show's got to work in the gay thing, as we say
yep,
at our home. It's like, oh, great, they're going to gay it up. Never
yep,
mind, let's turn the channel.
yep,
It's show after show out of nowhere,
yep.
and a lot of times it doesn't even make sense, and they gay it, and we
And
call
even
it
commercials now.
gaying it up.
Even
What'd you say?
commercials now. Even commercials now.
Yes. Yep. And so, yeah. So look, the agenda is being pushed.
Yep.
And so there's nothing wrong for us to wish that the Christian agenda would be pushed from the White
That's right.
House, because you want to say that we're a Christian nation. Well, you can't be. You
Uh-uh.
just can't be if the president isn't. I don't see how you could be. I mean, I just don't
Well,
see it.
the people can, but here's the problem. We're trying to influence as many people for Christ as we can. You can't do it pushing the homosexual agenda. We're trying to take back our country from evil, but yet you're empowering evil. It doesn't work like that. Jesus himself said you can't cast out Satan with Satan. So why are you partnering with Satan? That is a Satanist standpoint right there, promoting homosexuality. That's not a Christian standpoint, guys. That is a Satanist standpoint. There's two
Yes.
teams. There's two teams. Only two. There's no in between. Team Jesus and Team Satan.
And so we're not saying we want a pastor.
That's
We're
right.
saying we want somebody on Team Jesus that's
That's
in
right.
charge. Otherwise, guess what? They're not on Team Jesus. And what does that mean that they are? You can't sit on the fence. The enemy owns
Nope.
the fence. So it makes zero sense to say I don't want a pastor as my president. We're not saying we want it either. What we're saying though is we want a godly man. We want a man who will stand up and speak and do righteously.
That's right. See, and
Okay.
they're trying to separate transgender from homosexuality. There is no separation, guys. It's the same thing. It's the same spirit that runs through all three things: homosexuality, transgender, and the pedo community. I'm trying to be careful here, algorithms.
Yeah. Miss Georgia Gal says a big reason we don't watch much TV at all. I know
Yeah.
you can pretty much forget it. We watch a lot of old stuff, like murder mysteries and stuff, like Murder She Wrote. I watch stuff like that. Okay, what little bit of TV we watch. With that said, is now the time that you want to talk about what you want to share now that we've kind of unpacked that. By the way, the religious growth in the United States, this has been under President Trump as well. It's continuing, to not look good. And now, like as of last week, you said that the new numbers are now showing that it's more like 100 million people that are illegals here in our country. So,
Right.
so share with us what you want to share.
So let's go to Ron. Can you pull up that Theodore Roosevelt for me, bud?
Quote.
Yeah, quote, please. Okay, right here, guys. I want to point something out. This is a quote from Theodore Roosevelt from 1918. It says, "To announce that there must be no criticism of the president, or that we stand by the president, right or wrong, is not only unpatriotic and servile, but is morally treasonable to the American public." Somebody better read that again, because let me tell you, that is spot on. Because what does the president do? And I'm not attacking the president, guys. I'm going somewhere with this spiritually. What does the president do when you try to hold him accountable? He comes after you, starts calling you names. What do you do when you don't agree with the president, like on data centers? He comes after you, starts calling you names, low IQ. You guys are dumb communities. You don't understand. This is a lot of money to be made. Well, not everything's about money, Mr. President. Some people like their way of life, quiet, out in the country, and don't want to be disturbed. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Not everybody's from New York City and is a billionaire and can afford protection and this, that, and the other. So this is the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that something's going on with the president here, and Theodore Roosevelt nailed it. I'm going to read it again. To announce that there must be no criticism of the president, or that we are to stand by the president, right or wrong, is not only unpatriotic and servile, but is morally treasonable to the American public. Wow, man. It blows me away because, again, everyone wants to make an excuse for what this president does, even spiritually. I've heard this 1,000 times. He's a baby Christian. Guys, he's been a Christian for how many years? Come on. I understand he's a busy guy. I understand he's got a lot on his plate, and we're trying to take America back. But the point that God's trying to say here, Michelle, is if we don't take back the spiritual with the physical, we're going to lose America if we're not careful. The two have to go parallel. They have to go hand in hand. You have to take back America spiritually, and then the physical will naturally come on board. You can't do it when you're promoting evil. You can't sit there and say, I stand for evil, or I stand for good, but yet I'm empowering evil. God doesn't work that way. God's not going to be in this. Now, I want to bring up something here. Here's where I want to go with this, okay? So stay with me, guys. I looked this up, okay? This is going to get nasty here a little bit, okay? Kings in the Old Testament who made the wrong decision had a demonic entity enter them. You heard me correctly. When they made the wrong decision, they had a demonic entity enter them. It is biblical. I'm going to read it to you right now. Mm-hmm. That is true for anyone. That is true for you, me, the fence post, whoever. We can make a wrong decision and have a demonic entity control us, influence us, whatever the case is. The wrong decisions. King Saul in the Old Testament repeatedly disobeyed God's direct commands through the prophet Samuel, most notably by offering an unlawful sacrifice. Can you say the Oval Office, lighting a candle? And by sparing Agag, the king of the Amalekites, along with the best of livestock, instead of totally destroying them as God commanded. Here's the evil spirit. Because of his stubborn rebellion and rejection of God's word, that's pushing homosexuality, guys, the spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and immediately following this, an evil spirit from the Lord tormented him. The result, this distressing or harmful spirit troubled Saul's mind, filling him with deep distress, paranoia, and severe mental anguish, which heavily influenced his obsessive, wrong decisions to try and murder David. Okay, let's go to another parallel here. Another parallel instance involving a king and a misleading spirit is King Ahab in 1 Kings 22, where God permitted a lying spirit to deceive Ahab's false prophets after Ahab spent years in willful, wicked rebellion against God. Guys, it is biblical, and I believe where Trump took the wrong turn in his, bless you, I believe where God took a wrong turn, or where Trump took a wrong turn, is when he announced the vaccines. The second he allowed those vaccines to come on the scene, he listened to Fauci, he listened to Birx, he listened to the wrong people, which is what God's been calling out in these prophetic words for years now, how he has surrounded these people who have his ear. He's making the wrong decisions. He's choosing the wrong people, and people are going to say, oh, he's picking people to shove them in front of people to expose them. I'm so sick of hearing that. I could scream. If they're corrupt, bring out the goods and take them down at this point. Anybody who's going to wake up at this point is awake. The point is that that's where Trump got off track, is with the vaccines. I believe at that point is where everything went haywire for him and his family, and influenced not only him, but his family. Now, Bible says to judge a prophet by his fruit. Okay, let's judge the president biblically here a little bit on his fruit. What is the fruit that he has produced? He has produced a vaccine that has killed off probably 75% of the planet and has sickened the rest. Has created a cancer pandemic. He has released endorsed children's books that were Wicca witchcraft for the next generation. He has the same guy who influenced him, Kash Patel, got him to light a candle to a foreign god in the Oval Office. This is all rebellion against God, guys. He has now come out with homosexuality. He's come out with the abortion issue. Now his family is coming out with LGBTQ. His son has married Epstein's daughters or a banker's daughter.
Banker's daughter.
Yep. And you've got Laura Trump dancing with Muslim rappers, empowering the spirit of Islam over America, which we're trying to get rid of. You see how it rolls downhill spiritually. When the head, okay, if you control the head, you control the rest of the body. The enemy's trying to control the head, the president, by saying homosexuality is okay. It's the tolerance levels getting built up with the people, so that the people are okay with it. Okay, so now this becomes mainstream, a Republican talking point now. It's simply a Republican thing now. It's no longer a Democrat, even though we both know they're one and the same. The point is that, guys, you've got to put the picture or the piece of the puzzle together here of what's happening with the president. This is what's got me concerned, because what happened to even David when David acted up? God took a son from David to drive him to his knees and bring him back. I'm asking the Lord for a Damascus Road experience, if you will, to wake this man out of his stupor, his spiritual stupor, him and his family. None of this was going on during the first term, Michelle. It wasn't until COVID came along that things started to put, again, look at the puzzle. When COVID happened and he sent those vaccines out, that's when he started going downhill. That's when his family started going downhill. That's when everything in America, we started having all these issues. Now, look, I'm not saying God can't do great things through Trump. Don't get me wrong, guys. But the data centers, okay, and again, we're judging the fruit here, okay, just like the Bible says. Let's add to the list. Let's go 5G. He's bragged about 5G, accelerating 5G. He's bragged about now he's accelerating 6G. Now he's telling the people against the will of the people, saying you're going to get data centers whether you want them or not. Well, that doesn't really sound like you're handing power back to the people again, now does it? Now, we're going to play a video here of a young lady where they're doing eminent domain on these data centers now against senior citizens, taking their ranches, taking their homes, taking their land. So when you put all this together, what is the big picture that they're trying to do right now? That the enemy is using Trump to do this, unfortunately, is they want a surveillance society. Why were the shots developed to begin with? Was to dumb you down. The place you hear the voice of God is in the frontal lobe of your brain a lot of times. They dumb you down. You can't hear the voice of God. They're going to connect you, those who have had the vaccine, or if you've got spike proteins floating around in you, you got to get rid of them. But they're going to connect you to the 6G network through the data centers because they don't want you hearing the voice of God. They want you hearing the AI. That's what all this is about. And unfortunately, this president is a part of it, and he's pushing it.
Okay. Hoo-wee. Hope Norris on YouTube says that the vax that he took messed his head up.
That could be the other thing. They look, I'm not saying that they're controlling him. I'm not saying that. But there is a good possibility, guys, because this technology is going to control people with the vaccine. Look at what they produced right now with the vaccine, Michelle. It's the everybody used to joke about the zombie apocalypse. No, we're in it. It's coming out now that you have no common sense now. They can't even think clearly. You can't make a decision. Why do they even have a driver's license? This is why we're having so many accidents. You shouldn't have a pilot's license. You shouldn't have a driver's license if you've been vaccinated. All of these things. You can't even make a regular decision. So it would make sense that if he took the real vaccine, I'm not so sure that he did, but if he took the real vaccine, because a lot of the elites did not, and we're finding out, could it be affecting? Absolutely could be. But it's my contention that this is high-level witchcraft that is literally coming against the president, influencing his decisions. And because I believe there's a part of God, I'm not saying he's not with him, but he's pulling back from him, just like Saul, and is allowing certain things to happen. And the people are seeing it. Trump can't see it. He's blind to it. He's blind to it, and so is his family.
What is this about? I saw something a minute ago about, may have to find it, where it was talking about on his Truth Social posts. Oh, I think it was over on YouTube. I'll have to look for it and see, because that was alarming too. Oh, here it is. So, user says, I have to wonder about him posting on Truth Social, saying at the end, thanks be to Allah.
Praise
What
be to
kind of
Allah.
crap is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, praise
So
be
it
to
says,
Allah. Yeah. I
have you
think
seen that?
I have seen that as we've done it more than once. I think that he's mocking some people. Honestly, I think he's doing it mockingly. All right.
Okay.
I'm not gonna read too much into that.
Sarcastic. Yeah.
He's being sarcastic and mocking some people.
Deborah says, Mark, everything that you just said is true, but President Trump didn't bring COVID on the people. There must be
Correct.
something God can do to push President Trump in the right direction.
Yeah, he's gonna have to get his attention somehow.
That's what
He,
Mark's
he's got
saying.
he's got to remove these evil people from around him who have his ear. That's what the prophetic words say.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I
Okay,
believe
so
God's going to use him he can still turn things around. I'm not saying he can't, but when we turn things around or we get to a certain point, could God remove him? Yeah, God can remove him, and he could hand it off to the next one.
well, you've said that repeatedly.
Yeah,
You've also said that you thought that
right.
there would be something that potentially happens that would bring him down to his knees and have
Yeah.
alluded to a possible issue with a child, one of his
Well,
children.
well, I don't know if I'm not saying it's going to be one of his kids. I don't know that, but the other thing that's really fishy with me right now is they're going after the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court.
Hmm.
Him and Rubio are trying to take it down and discredit it because I think they're trying to protect two people. They're trying to protect Netanyahu and they're trying to protect Trump. Even the Trump administration, I believe, knows Trump's in trouble over these vaccines. For crying out loud, guys, he pinned a medal on Fauci's chest. Give me a break. You don't sicken all of humanity, literally sicken all of humanity because you're trying to expose someone.
Yeah.
Not buying it. Not buying it. And don't tell me they didn't know COVID was coming because COVID was in the works 20 years before it was ever released. With the technology we have right now, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. A squirrel could pass gas on the other side of the world. They could tell you the city, the state, the county, the city, the tree, and the tree branch and the volume of gas that he passed with the technology we have now. And you're going to tell me they didn't know this was coming? No.
All right. Well, you mentioned the lady that had the social media issues down in Georgia, where
Yep.
on TikTok, what TikTok did to her.
Mm-hmm.
Producer Ron, let's go on ahead and play that video. Let's look.
Hello, my name is Ansley. I live in Coweta County, Georgia. We are Noonan, Sharpsburg, Grantville, Moreland, little bit all together there in Coweta County. I wanted to come on here today and talk about something that happened with my TikTok account. So I made 2 videos talking about how Georgia Power is taking families' homes and properties against their will. One of those being my own family. I have a personal connection to this story, which is why it's so important to me personally. Although nobody in this town wants a damn data center, our commissioners still approved it. So therefore, Georgia Power is using easement rights to force homeowners, longtime homeowners, old homeowners, into selling their family properties and their family homes so they can be torn down and power lines be extended to support these data centers. This is wrong on so many levels, but when I made these videos to speak out against it, TikTok banned my videos. They said that they're a violation of community guidelines. I never violated any community guidelines. I only came on here to tell the truth about what's happening in Coweta County, Georgia. This is happening to at least 30 people. Some of them are elderly, cannot handle this on their own. Some of these people have families. Some of these properties have been passed down by generation to generation. This is not an option for Coweta County homeowners. This is something they are being forced to do, even though there are many petitions and other things in place trying to make this stop. Our commissioners still approve these projects. It's wrong. And I feel like people should know that in America, you do not have the right to your land. You do not have the right to your property. They can come and take that from you, and there will be nobody there to help you. And when you speak out against it online, they'll ban your videos. They'll block you. They'll threaten to take away your whole entire account. There is no freedom of speech. There is no protection of property. It doesn't make any sense. And people should know about this. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very interesting. I mean, I got kicked off TikTok, and I don't even know what we did.
Well, but it
But
doesn't matter. If she shared it on Truth
it's not
Social,
a
she'd have
time.
probably gotten kicked off. If she shared it
Oh,
on
what
Rumble,
time?
she'd have probably gotten kicked off because there is no,
Yeah.
she's right. There is no First Amendment. There is no protection of speech, freedom of speech in this country. I mean, I've been stuck at almost 2 years now on Truth Social at the same number. They're taking followers away from me on Telegram, about 100 a week. More than that, actually. Every week, I'm losing 100 followers on
Yeah.
Telegram. So,
You've been losing them for a few years now.
yeah.
Okay, there was a gentleman. I thought this was very interesting. He says that he took part in a trial, an mRNA trial back in 2015. Let's listen to what he has to say.
2015, I took part in an mRNA-based medical trial to help treat an autoimmune disease. That autoimmune disease was treated by the mRNA-based medication only for myself and everyone else that was part of the trial to either end up with an aneurysm, for me, colon cancer, other people got lung cancer, skin cancer, breast cancer, testicular cancer, bone cancer. I don't know the exact name for that one off the top of my head. Osteo something or other. But everyone that was part of my trial back in 2015, the company that was in charge of that trial signed a patent with the U.S. government based on all mRNA-based medications so that they would make a profit in 2015, right after that trial. And then COVID rolled around and, well, I started screaming my head off. You can look up the Anti-Federalist or my first name and last name on TikTok. You'll find tons of videos about me talking my health history. Being right in this instance does not bring me any pleasure whatsoever. Too many people f***ing died. Yet look at Fauci. He's happy.
Yeah. So as we know, this was all orchestrated anyways. Okay, so have y'all heard about the Nashville, Tennessee drug mix-up in the hospital? You know, I've been saying do not leave a loved one by themselves in the hospital, no matter what. This was before COVID. This was way back. I learned that lesson years ago. Just to see the incompetence and what all was going on was absolutely insane. About 10 years ago, when my son was in Vanderbilt Children's Hospital for over a month, it was a mess. And I quickly realized how incompetent and sloppy they were. So let's take a look at a news story about what happened, just in case, and kind of catch everybody up to date on this, just in case you haven't heard about it. Let's look.
4 people expecting routine surgeries at this Tennessee hospital are now facing a medical nightmare. A drug mix-up at Ascension St. Thomas Midtown Hospital in Nashville reportedly left 2 patients paralyzed and at least 1 other on a ventilator after officials say they were given the wrong medication prior to surgery. Now, those 4 patients were reportedly given potassium instead of an anesthetic. The family of one of those patients told our CBS affiliate in Nashville the mix-up happened inside the hospital's pharmacy. Now, hospital staff apparently realized something was terribly wrong when multiple patients went into cardiac arrest. Too much potassium given too quickly can stop a person's heart. Now, in a statement, the hospital said they were, quote, deeply sorry for the harm caused and had implemented corrective safeguards to prevent something like this from happening again. And we know the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations is now looking into this mix-up, but there are still a lot of unanswered questions. The hospital has also not made it clear what those safety protocols now include.
Yeah.
Well, and what they're not telling you there, who the head of the hospital was an Indian from India.
Yeah.
So, again, we go back to, I thought the whole DEI, this is why it's going to take years to fix the DEI thing. And DEI thing hasn't been fixed. It's not going to get fixed, guys. It's not like people think it is. It would take 20 years to trickle down to the federal or to the state and local levels, like your fire departments, your sheriff's offices, police departments, this kind of other. But the medical industry is in shams anyway. I mean, it has been since COVID. I mean, the ones that are left there are the ones who basically took the jab. We all know that. And you may have some good ones that got around it somehow that are maybe still there. But look, to go to a hospital now, you're putting your life in your own hands, unfortunately. I hate to say that. It's the truth.
That is so true. Yeah.
But, you know,
or you have people that are there that are brand new out of school, you know, which they've been, you know, mind controlled
taught
anyways.
Western medicine. Yep.
Yes. Okay, so let's look at this pharmacist out of from Walgreens. What gets me is she giving like medical advice at a level that a doctor should be giving? Let's take a listen to this lady.
If you're pregnant like me and worried about getting your COVID-19 booster, I totally get it. But here's what you should know. The booster is not a live vaccine, so it can't give you or your baby COVID. If you're pregnant and you do get COVID, you're more likely to have a severe case compared to someone who's not pregnant. The booster can help lower this risk. When you get your booster, your body makes antibodies, and that helps protect you and your baby. Ready to schedule your appointment? Click the link in our bio.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, advice,
Unbelievable.
not just medical advice. How is this even legal, lawful at this point? How are these shots still on the market?
Yeah,
This is why I keep saying we've gotten nowhere. Maha is a joke.
yep, it's
I
a
mean, they
joke.
spent $200,000 on floral arrangements after they raised over $7 million, but they haven't helped a single person who's vaccine injured with any of their living expenses or rehabilitation and true help. But hey, $200,000 toward floral arrangements for their events. So
Well, look,
keep going.
why you bring up a good question because I was going to actually say that exact thing. Why have they not taken the mRNA vaccines off the market for humans and animals? Let's don't forget the fur babies out there right now because they're
That's right.
trying to kill off both. Why hasn't
Money.
Trump taken them off the market? I'll tell you why he hasn't taken them off the market because pride and arrogance is ruling him right now. And if he does do that, that admits admission of guilt.
Well, we know from the gentleman that we just watched, he said that he took part in a trial in 2015. You're talking about 11 years ago.
Yep.
He's saying that all those people that were in the trial with him got all different kinds of cancers. That's concerning, very concerning.
And here's the other thing. Trump
Mhm.
is supposed to be releasing the cures. I believe God appointed him and anointed him to release the cures. Where are the cures for everything right now? Where is it? He's not doing it. So again, I got to ask myself, why are data centers being? I'm tired of data centers being shoved down my throat. I'm tired of having stuff shoved down my throat. I'm tired of having homosexuality shoved down my throat, abortion shoved down my throat, racism shoved down my throat, radical Islam shoved down my throat. Everything's being shoved down the Americans' throats right now, and people have had it. And I've been warning about this, about an armed uprising that's coming. And so I'm surprised it actually hasn't happened yet, to be honest with you. But I got a feeling we're on the cusp of it.
Mm-hmm. Elaine Daniels says they've offered several different vaccines to me the last 2 times that I've been pregnant. Hard no from me both times. Yeah, it's
Good for
crazy.
you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go on ahead. Let's kind of pivot to Flock. There's so much to cover with all of this. I know that you've got some things you want to share on that. Let's look at a couple of things. Okay, are we adults or are we being babysat? This woman says that she got out of a $1,250 Flock ticket, but listen to what the ticket was for exactly. Let's take a listen.
Just got a $1,250 ticket in the mail for having my phone on my lap, face down, and both hands on the steering wheel. Pretty cool.
Unbelievable.
And we're,
And look, I want to. Cam Sunshine up here says Trump even did a podcast before his second term during the Biden administration term. Trump said AI wasn't as dangerous. Right here's a prime example because you got to remember all this stuff's going to get hooked to the AI. All this ties in the flock cameras, and honestly, I think the flock cameras are a distraction, just like Fauci is a distraction. Look, anytime they bring this up, and you're seeing this much momentum on something, look behind
here's
over in the
something
other
else.
hand, guys, because it's a distraction. The flock cameras are a distraction to keep you focused on that because something even more powerful is in the works or coming about. The same thing with Fauci. They want you focused on Fauci right now because they don't want you focused on the root, which is Trump behind the vaccines. Sorry, guys. It is what it is.
All right. Lavender So says my mom almost got the wrong surgery and sent home early after a mild heart attack. After she got home, got a call to go get lots of tests and had to argue that her doctor didn't order. It was the wrong last name. Yikes. Wow. Yeah, just incompetence. Okay, the next one is look at this with y'all know this is going on. Well, we had to show you another example. Flock misuse by another cop. Let's watch.
Are using our databases as their own way to meet women. Being a woman at a coffee shop, coming out of a gym, driving next to them, getting their license plates, and running them on the system.
That's the Ottawa police chief asking his officers to stop using license plate readers like Flock to stalk women. In this 404 media video, a cop says the department has had to remind officers over and over that, quote, you see a hot chick, you don't look them up in the database. Most recently, a woman who had to change her identity to hide from her abusive cop ex was found by him thanks to Flock. On June 18th, the woman, who wishes to remain anonymous, filed a complaint with the Stowe, Massachusetts Massachusetts Police Department against Officer Jason Rogers. The woman looked herself up on IHaveBeenFlocked.com and found that Rogers had searched for her location multiple times in 2024 and 2025 and driven by her home. The woman in this case had changed her identity, her phone number, and stopped using social media. Rogers shouldn't have been able to find her. Flock made that possible. That 404 Media video was about a cop who placed a woman he was attracted to's license plate on a hot list, meaning every time it was scanned by a Flock camera, he got a notification. Here he is almost causing a head-on collision while he chases her down. And here he is saying he wishes her boyfriend was in the car so he could have roughed him up a little. This Central Florida police officer was arrested after using Flock to stalk his estranged wife's location 717 times. Washington Post found an officer who had tracked his wife and friend's location 3,759 times. So far, there have been 69 known cases of police officers being accused of or charged with misusing Flock cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only going to get worse, y'all.
Well, somebody can put it in the comments. There's another system that they're trying to bring online that has to do with, unfortunately, Israel. This is why I think they want everyone focused on Flock, because there's a more powerful system coming online that they're trying to bring online. If somebody knows what that is, put it in the comments if you don't mind, please. I don't remember the name of it.
It's not the Axon, is it? Are you talking about
I don't know. I don't know, but look, again, I believe this is a distraction to keep people fighting over this mess, just like the data centers. Again, none of this is good. Why is Trump allowing this? Why is Trump? We haven't gotten into the Islamification yet. I'm sure we're going to get into that here in a minute.
Now, Mark, what I find interesting though is that, and you know, I've talked about this, and I'm very opinionated on this situation when it comes to leadership. But every time he gets asked about something, just like this last week, he got asked about the Flock cameras, and his whole thing is, well, it's being studied. Yeah. We'll have something for you in 2 or 3 weeks. And it's always kind of kicking the can down the road on something like that. That's very, very, what do you mean you got something for us in a couple of weeks and it's being studied? How about before the first one got in the ground, we should have already had this study and already had a vote on it. Like, you know, what does that mean? You don't know? And so that was very concerning and kind of, I have to say, hard to believe. You don't know. Like, I think it was almost like, you just don't want to say anything.
Right.
Maybe you got caught off guard. I don't really know. I didn't feel good about that at all.
But here we go again. I thought we were supposed to be the most transparent administration in American history, but yet we get stuff shoved down our throat, or we get a question like that. That's a legitimate question. I've seen fake news reporters ask him a legitimate question respectfully, and because it goes against what he wants, or it's not what he wants, you're a nasty individual. You know, you're fake news. Who are you with? You're with CNN, aren't you? Yeah, you're fake news. And he'll do that. He like to flex. So it's like, I see what you're saying with that, because I did see that where he did that. And it's like, give me a break. That's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
And are we going to hear in 2 or 3 weeks about this? No.
Erica says it's like we're going backwards instead of forward. Absolutely. Eyes of a Lady says exactly, Michelle. Trump's kicking the can down the road, and often he no longer seems as interested in things as he did his first term. I just don't understand. This goes back to how I keep bringing up that he looks different. Now, I'm not saying there's cloning. I'm saying there's body doubles. There's all kinds of stuff. I want to know where the guy was that we voted for in 2016. And so, you know, we're going to have to wait and see what happens here. But something's wrong, very wrong.
Palantir and Axios, I think, is what someone said in here. And it could be both, actually.
I think it's Axon, A-X-O-N. No, it's Axon, A-X-O-N.
Okay.
But that's another system that's just like Flock. In fact, they used to be under the same umbrella. Also, I'm hearing that there is audio to some of these cameras as well. So I don't know if you go out on Halloween night and you want to take care of anything, just be aware I wouldn't be talking much. Eyes of a Lady says, I'm glad I voted Trump over Harris Walz, but truthfully, I don't see any positive changes. Okay, so let's keep going. The next one I want to talk about, I think this is extremely alarming. I brought it up a little bit last week. Now we got a whole nother thing to show about this. I'm very concerned about the accidental side when it comes to these cameras. They're misreading reading license plates. I have been watching video footage of people that get pulled over, and it gets very dangerous very quickly. Mark, you can probably speak to that way better than I can. But when they think you've just robbed a bank, or they think you just murdered someone, or they think, I mean, this can be, and you're like completely, you're not guilty. You weren't the one that did that. So all of a sudden, you're completely caught off guard, almost like laughing, like, you serious? I've watched plenty of people can't believe what they're hearing, and they're going, are you serious right now? Like laughing. And so it's very hard for people's minds to even get wrapped around what the police possibly think that you did because of a license plate reader that misread your license plate. So let's look at this flock errors video, and we'll talk about it when we get back.
What's next for you? How do you move forward?
Therapy. Lots of therapy. Extremely confused. I kept telling them they had the wrong person, the wrong vehicle. I feel there's really no way of fixing what they did to me. It will always hurt me.
Because of a flock error, that woman was thrown in jail for 2 weeks. In April, Florida Highway Patrol arrested Lindsay Brooke Isaacs on 8 felonies, including 3 counts of vehicular homicide. She spent 13 days in jail and was facing potentially life in prison, all because a flock reader falsely flagged her car. There had been a crash, and a 911 caller identified a maroon Dodge Durango as the perpetrator. Isaacs has a black Dodge Durango, and her plates don't match the caller's description. Yet Flock still flagged her car, and she was arrested. At this point, I'm sure this story sounds pretty familiar, because it seems as though every single day we're hearing of a new person traumatized by a flock mistake. This is Brandon Upchurch. According to Business Insider, he was violently attacked by a police dog and kept in jail for hours after a flock camera wrongfully identified his plates as stolen. Flock thought the 7 on his license plate was a 2. This woman is now terrified to drive after an accidental flock alert led to her car being surrounded at gunpoint by police. Authorities in Roseville, California found that Flock misread license plates 71% of the time. And every time Flock completes a scan, which is estimated they produce over 20 billion a month, that data is uploaded into a nationwide database that any law enforcement officer with a Flock contract can access.
Look, let me tell you something, guys. If you get a felony stop, especially in the state of Florida, it's going to really be bad, or in Texas, because they're going to have you at gunpoint, and you're going to be out on the ground, on the pavement, face down on a 140-degree pavement. And so I don't know if you've guys have seen them when they've thrown someone over the hood of a car, because I've seen it more than once. FHP threw a guy over the hood of a car who didn't have a shirt on in the Florida heat. Oh, there was skin all over the hood of that car. So trust me when I tell you, because it burns. Trust me, you're going to get burnt. So if you're innocent and this is happening, this is not a game, especially if it's a felony stop. And you got to couple this, Michelle. You got to remember this. Couple that with the incompetency that we're dealing with in today's time right now.
You mean the DEI?
No, I'm talking everything. It doesn't matter if you're white, brown, pink, or purple polka dots right now. The incompetency is through the roof. It doesn't matter. You go to the bank, you go to the post office. I don't care where you go. Your fire services, your military, and your law enforcement are incompetent. I just watched a video. A friend of mine sent it to me of a guy who barricaded himself out, I can't remember where it was, maybe Ohio, I think it was. 147 rounds were fired. After this hour standoff, it had to be the most incompetent thing, one of the most incompetent things I've seen. I've seen a lot on the street, believe me, okay? But the point is, the vaccines aren't helping because a lot of the guys had to take it to keep their job, whether you're military, fire service, law enforcement, and you're dealing with an already incompetent service as it was because of DEI and lowering the training standards to get these people in here. Now you couple that with the vaccine that's inhibiting their common sense and ability to make their decision-making process. Man, we're in for a world of hurt, which is what we're seeing, and we haven't even scratched the surface. I keep talking about the fact that, hey, we're going to get callbacks. Guys like myself are going to get called back saying, hey, we need you because we got nobody here, but everybody's dead or sick because of the vaccine. So they're going to start hiring guys based on the fact whether you haven't had a vaccine or not. But you couple all that incompetency with the vaccine, this is what Trump has generated. And this is the part he's never going to flipping admit. He can't. If they do, they're going to lock him up.
Okay, so I see what you're saying about the DEI. If you think about it, Mark, the DEI will take 20 years or more, because what happens is you hire somebody, especially if they're in any kind of a government position, and it seems like they can't ever be fired.
Right.
And Lord forbid if it's somebody that meets the DEI requirements. I mean,
Right.
Lord forbid it's not a white guy that's you're having problems with, and it's a Hispanic or it's a black woman. Good luck getting that person fired for their incompetence.
Listen,
And so it'll be
when
impossible.
when you're dealing with DEI, you're dealing with incompetency at a level that no one's ever experienced, unless you've experienced it on the front lines of combat, whether it's fighting fire, bullets whizzing over your head, whatever the case may be. You can go online right now, and we could play video after video after video, watching how women. You'll have 3 or 4 women on a guy. There was one out of England here about a week ago. Somebody released 3 or 4 women couldn't take this guy down. A guy comes running in, one guy, and tackles this joker and takes him to the ground. You know how many times I've seen that? You know how many times I'm sitting there? I got college football players on my truck that are part of my crew, and I have to call for a cop, and I get a 90-pound white female show up. I'm like, oh, great. What are you going to do, sweetheart?
Yeah.
That we can't already do times 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you look at the fact that you've lowered these standards to get these people in here in these services, the training requirements or the lack of to get these people in here, now you're going to have to wait for attrition. You're going to have to wait for these people to leave in order to do that. It's a very simple fix, by the way, a legal fix, I believe. And so if you go back, you go to your services, you're a fire chief or you're a police chief, you go back to the 60s and 70s physical standards, and you issue that to your department. And you tell these people you got 30 days, or you have the test, the physical standards test. I guarantee you, Michelle, you will have almost a 80 to 90% flunk rate right now. That's how bad a shape that we're in right now. You would have a 80 to 90% flunk rate, and then you give them 30 days to pass the test to get their butt in shape. If they're not in shape, you're gone. You've lost your job. We're going to get somebody in here who can do the job.
Well, I think they're so out of shape that 30 days wouldn't be enough, personally.
Well, that's my point. That's my point.
It's that bad.
It's that bad.
Some of that, though, has to do with the lack of nutrition in the food. And so, we deal with that with my company, with Godly Granny. And we're looking at the nutrition that's not in the food. And, I was just saying to somebody this morning, the corn that our grandparents ate is not the same corn we're eating. And so the tomatoes our grandparents ate are not the same tomatoes we're eating. The nutrition is not in the soil. It's not in the food. It's unfortunate. And then you've got the poisoning and the different things that are allowed by the CDC that isn't even allowed in other countries.
The glyphosate. Why are we protecting the companies with the glyphosate? Why did Trump come out and do that? See, these are all biblical things, or fruit, if you will. What is the fruit that he is producing right now? So far, it's not. Now, I'm not saying the tariffs aren't going to work or the economy's not going to work. And again, that God can't turn some of this around, guys. Okay. I'm just telling you, what is the fruit that he is producing biblically right now for America? It's not looking good right now. It really is not, because he's forcing stuff down our throat that the American people don't want. And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe that's what he wants. Maybe he wants an armed uprising where he can step in and say, okay, now we can straighten things out. Maybe he's waiting on the Americans to do that. I don't know. I've been saying that for a long time. We haven't taken to the streets. Look at these other countries where you get 1 million strong. Well, you get 1 million people descend on D.C., trust me, he's going to listen.
Yeah. I also am concerned, though, at that point, like, where does it take? Because he's one man. And so, you can come in and you can swoop in and do all this stuff, but then you still got half the country that hates him no matter what he does. I mean, seriously.
He's in a no-win situation right now.
Yeah.
And
so what do
he is the one that's developed that, though. Unfortunately, with the PSYOPs, with some of this stuff, he is the one that has developed this atmosphere, if you will, of distrust. He is the one that has developed a lot of this.
Okay, so I don't agree with that, because when he was running for president, when TDS became so bad, was while he was running against Hillary. And you had people saying things about him that weren't true. I'm not that he was he made his own mistakes, his own fair share.
Right.
But I don't agree with that. I think TDS, there was a spiritual issue way back then that wasn't his fault. And the rhinos and all the Democrats and all of the crazy that was going, all this, whatever you want to call these groups of people, again, they're Satanists. And so, they're all in on this to make him look evil because he's not part of that. And so I think that the fix was in from the very beginning on a lot of that. And so has he helped any of that since then? No. But I'm just saying, I think there was a ton of TDS that was horrifically in
Correct.
place from the very beginning. That was
Correct.
not his fault. And that
But
I think
when
some of
he
that's a spiritual battle
but
as
when
well.
he took the vaccine thing and opened the door like
Mhm.
Saul and made the wrong decision, that's where it went downhill from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going. That's interesting. So the 62,000 square foot mosque, is this something that's been approved recently in Texas?
I believe so.
Okay,
Let me go
just
to the
curious about that.
thread here.
I was thinking that I'm wondering how recent that was. You were mentioning that. And then also, producer Ron, I had a video I'm not seeing of a man talking. I think maybe it might not have gotten pulled over, but I want to make sure we play it. That has to do with him talking about what's going on with the meat. This was I sent it to you on Saturday. If you would please make sure
Yeah,
I've got that.
this is recent. This
All
is
right, let's
literally
see.
recent.
And so, what's the situation? Where in Texas is it being built? Do you know?
Let's see here. They are spitting in the face of the Texas and U.S. government. In Irving, I can't even pronounce that. Something Oasis is still rising, and they're releasing polished videos to rub it in our faces. 75% complete. A 62,000 square foot mixed use complex, retail downstairs, apartments upstairs, locked in as a permanent Sharia WAQF. I don't know what that is. Once it's finished, it will generate $1.5 million every year, forever funding the Islamic Center of Irving and school, Tanzil Academy, youth programs, and Dawah. This is not a building. It is a permanent Islamic endowment. The main mosque is already held by NATE, Muslim Brotherhood's U.S. real estate arm, in perpetual WAQF. Does anybody know what that means? I don't know what WAQF is. The Oasis is next locked in piece. Cost is $16.5 million. So it goes on and on.
Okay, so what I'd like to know, that includes a school, and I'd like to know what exactly are they teaching the kids in that school? Are they teaching death to America? Are they teaching about, we're the infidel and, it's okay to lie and cheat and steal from infidels and, if they don't get on board, kill them? I mean, I'd like to know exactly what's being taught in that school on our American soil.
The one guy's crying basically with the last Texan leaving Texas, will you please bring the flag with you? I mean, honestly, that's where we're at. This is where we're at right now. Florida's no different. I've been saying for years that Florida, there's an all-out war for Florida and Texas. For some unknown reason, they want Florida and Texas.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that those were the two big, huge conservative states.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with that. If you're going to go against the Christians and the patriots, and you want to take over America, where are you going to start? I'd start with the two that got the big strongholds for conservativeness, for conservative. I don't even know what I want to say. Conservatism.
Somebody in here said WAQF is a permanent, non-transferable Islamic charitable endowment where a person or group donates a physical asset or money for religious or community welfare. Thank you for that.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going. We've got another video that I want to make sure that we get to. This is just crazy. All right. It's just when we get to talking about the illegal aliens and the mosques and all this, this starts getting crazier and crazier, because we've been talking about it for over a year, Mark, and especially in Texas, what's been going on.
And it's being allowed.
Crazy. Yes, and it's only, and by the way, how is the governor and whoever else is involved, how are they not in prison, awaiting tribunals for treason? Because I'm telling you right now, in our nation's history, there are people that were put to death over treason for a whole lot less.
Yep.
Okay. And the problem, I think, what we've got with Americans right now is they can't even recognize treason and don't know how to call it out for what it is. And I'm telling you right now, it's treason.
Well, look, it's the dumbing down of America, and Trump is a part of it by calling out and enforcing or saying, hey, we support the homosexuality. The Senate, what do they do? The tolerance level goes up. So we're not going to do anything about it. Michelle, we went to war in this country over a 3% T-tax. We went to war. Innocent men, women, and kids gave their lives for that war over a 3% T-tax. Look where we're at now. Look where the tolerance level is at. And they're trying to build it even more now. Trump is trying to build it even more. They don't want an armed uprising is what they don't want. So they keep dangling these little carrots, these cute carrots sometimes in front of you, or, hey, just hang with me, the plan, let Trump cook. That one just infuriates me. You know what I mean? It's like, let him cook. Yeah, he's cooking us down in the pits of hell right now spiritually. If you look at this, we need to save America spiritually and physically.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to keep going. We got a couple more things I want to make sure we get to, and I don't want to run long. All right, the next thing is housing at the Roosevelt. Take a look at this one. These numbers. Unbelievable. Producer Ron may have deleted that one by accident. Okay. He says he doesn't have it. He deleted it. So, okay. $250,000 for 3.5 years at the Roosevelt for what? For immigrants.
Illegals. Yeah.
Illegals everywhere. It's insane what's going on. Who's paying that? Is that the American taxpayers? Like, what's going on with that? Okay, then to make matters worse, now we've got out in California, they're doubling down on all these rights for the migrants. And so they already in Oakland, California was known as the city for refuge. And it's been going on for at least 40 years, which kind of surprises me, Mark, that it's been that long. But now they're coming up with some more stuff for new legislation and to protect the immigrants. This is crazy. Let's take a look at a little bit of this video.
And Oakland is restating that immigrants are welcome in the town. Leaders are taking a major step in protecting the immigrant community who live there. NBC Bay Area's Bob Riddell joins us live from the Fruitvale Village, where the mayor and city council members just spoke. Bob, Oakland is already a sanctuary city. What's really going to change here?
Yeah, good morning to you there, Chris and Laura. Oakland has been a so-called city of refuge actually for 40 years with laws that they enacted back in 1986. The mayor and city council, to answer your question, they want to strengthen and update those sanctuary laws that protect immigrants. Moments ago, behind me here in the Fruitvale Village, Mayor Barbara Lee, members of the city council, and community activists, including Faith in Action East Bay, they held a news conference to announce their support for new legislation that the city council will vote on tomorrow. Now, this new ordinance would keep the data of its residents private by restricting the collection of immigration status on applications. City workers and Oakland police would be banned from asking about a person's legal status and sharing that information with ICE agents. Officers would also be prohibited from enforcing federal immigration rules. ICE agents, meanwhile, would be blocked from entering non-public areas of city buildings without a warrant. Now, the city says the fear of ICE raids and enforcement has already led to a 57% increase in absenteeism in English learner schools in areas like East Oakland and Fruitvale, where we're at, and a 20 to 30% drop in local businesses because some immigrants are just afraid of going out and about.
The fear.
It's just more of that, but it's just crazy. They just keep doubling down. Okay, what I want to know is, where is the legislation to help Americans? Where is the legislation to help our veterans? What about our elderly who's living on pennies? But this is the trash that they're talking about. This is the kind of stuff that's like, where's the accountability? This stuff is treason as far as I know.
Yeah. Again, why aren't we rounding these people up?
Yeah,
Again, this is why this is why Trump's poll numbers are dropping so fast.
It's crazy. All right, let's take a look at what's legal. Well, I don't see. Do you have the what's legal or illegal in Afghanistan? I think producer Ron deleted a few things. Okay, we'll skip it. All right, I want to make sure we cover the U.S. beef, and then I've got one more video, and we're going to call it a day. So the U.S. beef video. This is excellent video. Let's take a listen.
And we won't rebuild the herd, and you're going to lose more ranchers, and in the long run, you're going to lose everything. Because where there are cattle, there is freedom. And when these disappear, so does your freedom. I don't think this is going to work out like they hoped.
So farmers and ranchers across the United States and a lot of Republicans in Congress are livid with the Trump administration for their plan to release 300,000 tons of cheap foreign beef into the United States to try to bring down beef prices. And that, MAGA rancher right there may be as mad as any of them. And to him I say, Welcome to the oil and gas industry, because this is the exact same thing that Donald Trump did to our own energy sector when he continually went to the Middle East, had them rapidly increase production to crash prices, and put a lot of oil and gas producers in the United States out of business. And now he's going to do that with farmers and ranchers. But why are beef prices so high to begin with? Well, our herd count, the number basically of cows that we have in the United States, is at historic lows. And why is that? Drought. Yet another symptom of a problem that we refused to address for decades, that we refused to even believe was happening for a very long time. And yes, I'm talking about climate change. You're seeing the impact of it right now. Your food prices, your utility bills, heck, your home insurance cost, your health insurance costs. And when you add to that emerging economies around the world that are finally able to afford good American beef, because trust me, American beef is the best in the world by far. Now, the globalization of beef, just like the globalization of diesel and natural gas, highest bidder gets the beef, and if that means it goes to Asia, that's where it goes. And you get stuck paying more here in the United States, just like you do for everything else, as giant corporations take over yet another critical sector of U.S. industry, something that is critical to the survival of Americans: electricity, energy, fuel, food. I would be more sympathetic to farmers and ranchers if they didn't celebrate so much when Donald Trump did this exact same thing to the oil and gas industry. But at the end of the day, this is like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone. It's not going to fix anything. We have to rebuild the herd in the United States. And another thing we absolutely must do is have country of origin labels on all of our beef. I got to tell you, I've had beef from other parts of the world, not interested myself. But once again, this is temporary, an attempt to lower something for the midterms, because this will not fix beef prices in the United States. Thanks.
Okay, so look, I called this out because it was a betrayal to the ranchers and the farmers. Look, the Argentinian beef, even China didn't even accept Argentina beef because it's got chemicals in it that would kill people. But no, as usual, the U.S. has to take stuff that nobody else will eat, right? This is just part of our food process here in America, unfortunately. This is why everybody's so sick. And I had people calling me communist. I had people calling me black pillar. I had calling me every name in the book. So I went on to social media, and if you don't mind, I'd like to read this, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I said, it amazes me how many people comment calling me a black pillar or siding with the communist, all because I disagree with Trump's tactics, even over the beef issue. How many of you calling me names have actually owned cattle? Do you know how much money and what it takes to raise livestock? I have owned cattle and livestock and know what it takes to take care of them and the time and the money it takes to raise them. Most people who comment have no idea what they were even talking about, except the fact that it's coming from their idol, Trump. The fact that most people can't see the mistakes that he's making, especially spiritually, and turning a blind eye to it, means you have made him an idol. The fact that no one's calling this stuff out, especially spiritually, means you will answer to the Lord over this one day. I am not here to be popular or make money. I'm here to speak what the Lord tells me to. If that's unpopular and if people want to call me names, that's on you. The pride and arrogance that's on this president and his administration has rubbed off on the people, and believe me, it is showing, especially in people's comments and their actions, or should I say, lack of action. Your hearts are hardened and becoming a stiff-necked people. Repent. God is calling his people to repentance, especially this president and his family who's going by the way of Saul and Nebuchadnezzar. Do not allow someone else's sword of pride and arrogance influence you, lest you fall on it.
Okay. All right, we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, I'm not getting my meat from the grocery store, so it's unbelievable. Okay, and by the way, we probably really paid for that. You know, we've sent all of kinds of money over there last fall, and so why didn't we help our own American farmers? But instead, we sent money over to Brazil, and you know, millions. And now here, look at what's going on. You know, to which, by the way, we sent money over to the competitors of our American farmers and then didn't help our American farmers. And so that's
Right.
what's so crazy.
Right.
Okay, Nebuchadnezzar, let's take a listen to this. This is really good.
Here's something that happened 2,600 years ago or so that should sound very familiar. King Nebuchadnezzar conquered Jerusalem. And when he didn't kill the best and the brightest. He kept them. He hand-selected the strongest, the most handsome, the smartest, young men from the best families, and he brought them to Babylon. And then he did something interesting. He fed them from his own table, the king's food, the king's wine, every day for 3 years. He also renamed them, gave them Babylonian names, Babylonian education, Babylonian culture. He was reshaping their identity from the inside out, not with chains, with comfort. Because here's what Nebuchadnezzar understood that every powerful ruler since has understood. If you feed people long enough, if you make them comfortable enough, if you make them dependent enough, by the time you put up the statue and stay bow, you won't have to demand it twice. So years later, after the captors are comfortable and compliant, Nebuchadnezzar erects a gold statue 90 feet tall, and a decree goes out. When the music plays, everyone must bow. Every nation, every language, every person, bow or burn. Now fast forward, starting in 1933, FDR's New Deal rolls out program after program. Food, housing, aid for children. The table is set. 1960s, LBJ expands it into the Great Society. Medicare, Medicaid, Head Start, more food, bigger table. And nobody talks about what FDR himself said on record to Congress in 1935 while he was doing it. He called continued dependence on welfare a narcotic, a subtle destroyer of the human spirit. He saw it. He said it. And he built it anyway. Because the people behind the throne, the ones writing the policy, funding the movements, pushing the ideology, they understood exactly what Nebuchadnezzar understood. You don't control people with force. Not at first. You control them with provision. You give them enough to survive. You make them need you. You reshape their language, their values, their identity, slowly, over decades, through schools and screens and systems. And then one day, the music plays. But the statue they're asking you to bow to isn't made of gold. It's made of policy, of ideology, of the idea that the government is God and that it alone can provide, protect, and distribute equally to everyone who complies. And the decree is the same as it ever was. Bow, or there will be consequences. But here's what I need you to remember. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they lived in Babylon. They worked in Babylon. They were surrounded by everything it offered. And they still said no. Not because they were unaware of what Babylon offered, because they knew who they belonged to. You don't have to bow, but you need to know who you belong to before the music starts. Because once it starts, most people bow and never even ask why.
That's good.
Okay.
You know, I thought about something he said. He says, you know, they control them, and he was talking about all that stuff. But he says, he says they make you, you make them need you. And he talked about the systems.
Yep.
And I thought that was interesting because you have been talking for quite a while about the systems being under judgment.
Right. Control through provision, he said. Control through provision. Now, see, this is what I said on the other shows, that I feel like Trump is trying to, in a roundabout way, bribe the people, saying, well, you're going to have a lot of money. Data centers are going to make money. See, it's like bribing through provision. It's control through provision. We're going to give you money if you will accept this data center. If you were going to give you money, if you will just do what I say. Ron, can you bring up the Theodore Roosevelt thing for me again, please, brother? And the other thing,
he
deleted it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the point is that it's like bow or burn, right? He kept saying bow or burn. I'm going to see if I can pull it up here because I want to read it. Right here. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the Theodore Roosevelt thing because he was talking about bow or burn, right? And Trump is doing the same thing. Every time you don't bow to him, every time you don't bow to his way of doing things, he's going to call you dumb, low IQ, you're a black pillar, you're a horrible person, you're a dumb community. And he's got his own people, MAGA people, doing it as well. It's rubbing off on the people. There it is. Thank you, brother. And so read this in a different light now. You either bow to him or you burn. To announce that there must be no criticism of the president or that we are to stand by the president, right or wrong, is not only unpatriotic and servile, but is morally treasonable to the American public. This is where Trump is going really wrong. And what was erected in Trump's honor? A golden statue of Trump was erected in his honor. And did they not surround this thing and start praying around it? Guys, we're in dangerous territory. Trump's in dangerous territory right now. And people don't understand it. And God's going to get his attention sooner or later. And that's what's worrying me. I want to see him succeed. I want to see America succeed. But if he's not able to complete this mission and God removes him, he's going to put somebody in here who will finish the mission.
All right, Mark, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
I appreciate you being here and sharing your thoughts with us. Okay, so we'll be here live tomorrow, of course, at 3 p.m. Central. Same place, same time. Want to remind you about the Godly Granny sale that ends tomorrow night, Tuesday night, at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also wanted to share, we've gotten some really great testimonials. You guys have been doing the reviews like crazy on your products with Godly Granny. It's just been amazing. So I just appreciate all of the feedback. We had a viewer who left a review about the calming VJ Yoni cream and said, I have a condition called vaginal atrophy. I know this can be really common for some women, and so I wanted to share this as I've used the VJ Yoni cream since it first was introduced. This product is so soothing and comforting. I never want to be without this amazing product. Thank you, Godly Granny. I know that, that's one of the things we talk about. You guys have real tangible problems, and we're trying to give you real tangible solutions. And so we're just so grateful when we see things like that. Sharon talks about the detoxifying and whitening tooth powder that's peppermint flavored. Y'all, that tooth powder. See, my teeth are white. It says, I'm very pleased with this tooth powder. I was skeptical at first as I have tried various clean toothpaste and powders, even tried making my own. Oh yeah, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. Never noticed any whitening off of my teeth, but after about 1.5 weeks into using the powder, I can see a difference. I love it. I also had a couple of darker spots. Now, I thought this was interesting. This is why I wanted to share this testimonial. So Sharon wrote, also had a couple of darker spots along the gum line, potential cavity formations, and they have also lightened in color, and my teeth seem to be less sensitive, which is a bonus. Also, as you always proclaim, a little goes a long way. That's so true. So it is with the tooth powder. Yes, that little container will last you a good 2 months to 3 months, and so easily, especially if you're not sharing with your spouse. I do highly recommend that you get, if you're married or have a significant other, kids, everybody has their own, and so you don't want to be sharing your tooth powder. Says thank you and blessing to you all at the Granny and the Godly Granny formulators and employees for making such wonderful products. So good. Also tomorrow I'm going to be sharing with you about something that happened, about a question about a formulation and what we ended up, how it's just so good, y'all. We are dealing with people that deal with problems at a molecular level. And so we're not dealing with grok, we're not dealing with AI, we're dealing with real science, actually. And so it's a whole nother level of people. And so we're very excited about it. But I'm going to give you some details and explain about what happened and kind of help you to see at what level exactly tomorrow here on The Michelle Moore Show. So we'll see you here tomorrow, next time on The Michelle Moore Show.
Ever read the ingredients on your everyday products and think, wait, is this shampoo or a science experiment? If your lotion needs a translator, a lab coat, and a warning label, it might be time for a change. Godly Granny products are made with purpose, love, and ingredients you can actually recognize. No mystery chemicals, no toxins, just clean, simple goodness. The way Granny would have wanted, because your skincare shouldn't require a chemistry degree. From shampoo, lotion, skincare, and all natural health remedies, Godly Granny has everything your family needs. It's no wonder we have over 1,200 5-star reviews from our amazing customers to prove it. Join the families just like yours who've switched to Godly Granny. Visit godlygranny.com and sign up for our emails to receive a special discount code for 10% off your first order, plus exclusive updates and information on newly released products.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
Universal Coin and Bullion is my partner for gold, silver, rare coins, and precious metal IRAs. For over 30 years, they've helped more than 500,000 customers and completed over $2.6 billion in precious metals transactions. They're offering callers 2 1-ounce American Silver Eagles and a 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle at actual dealer cost. Call Universal Coin and Bullion today.
For Michelle's social media links, go to michellemooreshow.com.